So this is a 2010 Lunar Clubman ES, going to take you around the van and show you how it operates. The hookup procedure we go through in person here on site, so we'll take you through the hitch, the handbrake, the jockey wheel, the lead connection to the car and the ATC. In the front of the van you've got your gas bottle. On the gas bottle itself it's a reverse thread fitment on here, and then you've got your on-off valve at the top, which as you can see there, on is anti-clockwise, closed is clockwise. Yellow valve is also a gas shut off, so if you want to isolate the gas to the bottle and no further past the regulator, you can do that just there. Water pump connection, very simple to use. Pull the little cover up on the side of the van. The pump end will drop into the aqua roll, which is coming with this van as part of the starter pack. You then push into the side of the van the connection for the water pump itself. To release it, you pull the blue trigger back and release from the side of the van. So you have it connected and into your aqua roll at the bottom. You can see the pump end into the aqua roll, and we'll explain how to fill the rest of the system when we're inside of the van. On each corner of the van you've got a wind down leg, so on this side it's just below the heating vent, or the gas vent, sorry, should I say. You do need to remove this cover if you're running the caravan on gas at all, due to the fact of carbon monoxide build-up inside the van, potentially if you leave it on. Coming down the side of the van you've got your battery locker, 110 amp battery in there, and your mains power lead coming into the van itself. That connects to the power supply on site. You then got your motor mover. The motor mover and wheel nuts we come to during the actual handover here on site. I'll demonstrate the motor mover in person and torque the wheel nuts so you can see they've been tightened correctly. So your fresh water goes in the front of the van. It has to come out somewhere. So at the side of the van down the side you've got two grey waste pipes. That is simply the grey waste water from the sink and shower, or the sinks and shower in the van. That is nothing to do with the toilet system on board the van. I'll come to that in a moment. Coming to the back of the van, you've got your wind down legs on either side of the van, so you've got the one on this side and the one on the opposite side. Very simple to do, and again we'll demonstrate that while you're here on site. But leg winder you will find just inside the door of the caravan. Toilet flush tank is this one on the outside. Let me just open that up so you can see. So in the toilet flush tank you put 3.5 litres of water and a cap full of the pink fluid, and you can lock that up. In the bottom here you've got your toilet waste cassette, which you remove by pulling up the orange handle and pulling towards you. The handle here itself actually turns into one of them pull along handles essentially. You've got the neck here, which is tipping the waste out, and in here you put 1 litre of water and a capful of the blue fluid before use. Then on the back of the cassette you've got an orange pressure relief, so when you tip in the waste away it doesn't spit and splatter back at you, and that is as simple as that to use. Inside of the van, next is where we're going. So inside of the van, on the far side of the van above the heater system you've got your master power switch, so to turn the master power on. Put the power on here. The water pump I'll come back to in a second, and you've got your light switch here for the lights around the bottom of the cabinet, same as the one that is down the side of the seat next to the heater itself. Now to fill the water system on board the caravan, very simple to do. You connect the water pump on the outside and drop the pump into the aqua roll, which comes as part of the starter pack. We open up the door at the front of the seating area on the right hand side at the front, and you'll see a yellow valve just down in line with the blue pipework that you see there. When the valve is parallel with the floor, that is the fill position for the water system, and when that valve is pointing upright towards the bottom of the seating, that is actually the drain. And we do recommend for winter storage, or when you're not using the van, to drain the water system down so there's no water in the system, because if you leave water in there it could potentially freeze and crack the water system over winter storage. Next to that, the little white fitment you see there is a pressure regulator for the water system. That is preset to where it needs to be, but if the water pressure ever seems low, you can adjust it on the valve on top. So, to actually fill the system, you come over to the taps on board in the kitchen. So now you've got the valve shut beneath the seat or parallel with the floor. With the tap, you turn it around to the hot side and you open up the tap completely, as you can see there. You also do the same with the tap in the bathroom. And the tap in the shower as well. And what you can do at that point is, with the aqua roll connector on the outside, you can come over to the water pump switch and you can turn the switch on. Once the pump has sucked up enough water, the water will start coming out the taps around the van. And when that water is running continuously through the taps, you'll be able to turn each tap off. You'll be able to turn each tap off when the water system is full on the hot side. The cold side isn't so important to fill because that will just draw water up from the tank itself. But the reason we're doing this for is so it fills the onboard hot water tank. So you're not trying to heat a tank that's got no water in it. To heat the water system, on the wall just around here, next to the sink, if you see the sink, it's just on the corner around the side here, you have a switch for your Ultra Store. So the Ultra Store is your water tank on board the van. I do apologise for the blurriness in the video, I hope it clears up. To ignite the water system on gas, the grey dial on the outside here spins round to the gas symbol that is just on the right hand side of this, and the green light will appear. So when it is ignited on gas, the green light is your pilot light, and if it fails to ignite, the red light will appear just behind here also. On gas, you can control the water temperature between 30 and 70 degrees of water temperature. Turn the gas supply back off, you spin the dial round to the 0, and that will turn the gas supply off. In the same cupboard underneath the seat on the far side of the caravan, you'll also come to two power switches here next to your household style trip switches and your 12-volt fuses. To turn the Ultra Store on electric, which is your water heater on electric, simply flick the switch on. We wouldn't advise doing this unless the water system is full. To turn it back off, simply flick the switch back the other way. To get power to the controls for the heating system on electric, you actually need to turn this one on, just here, which says Ultra Heat. Now with the Ultra Heat side of things, you can actually leave this turned on at all times. It's not something you have to turn off necessarily unless you want to make sure there's no power going to it for any reason. But to control the heating on electric, on the same side of where the water heater control is on gas, you've got the dial here on the outside again to turn on the power supply to the heater. But down the side of this one, you'll actually find 500, 1000 and 2000 watts. What that relates to is the amount of power that's coming into the caravan from the caravan site you are on. So for instance, you're on a site with 500 watts, you can turn the dial round to the 500 on the side, and then you can control the heat of the heater on the dial on the front. The only way you will know what power supply you can use the heating on is by asking either the caravan site you're on or the facility you're at. Most facilities, campsite wise, run 1000 to 2000 watts of power, so you should be okay using it on the higher settings. With the heater itself, that you can see just down here below the main controls, you've got the option to run this heater on gas on the left hand side, and to ignite it on gas, you turn the gas bottle in the front, as I'm sure you can probably appreciate, turn the gas valve round, and then hold down the igniter valve on top. What it will do is when it's ignited, self-igniting, you'll have a pilot light in this window at around a 45-degree angle, as you can see just there. When it is ignited, we do advise that you hold down the gas valve for 5 to 10 seconds after it's ignited, just to warm up the thermocouple, then slowly release the gas valve. And as you can see, because I haven't held it down for long enough, the thermocouple hasn't warmed up. But to turn the gas supply back off, you turn it back to 0, and you can control the heat of the heater on this dial on top. To use the blown air that this caravan has, so the heat comes out around the vents around the van, you have a dial on the opposite side of the heater. If the dot is in the centre, the heat will come out the front of the heater. You've got a fan speed on top, so you can put the fan on continuous by putting it onto this little wave symbol on the left hand side. So now when you've got the heater on, the heat will come out these vents around the van and also in the washroom at the back. If you want it to cut in and out with the thermostat, you'll put it onto the A on the right hand side, which is basically automatic, but you can still control the fan speed on the dial on top. With the bed at the front of the van, very simple to use. From the bottom, you pull out the rail from the front and the bed pulls out completely. And what it'll essentially do is when you pull it out far enough, it'll come to the end here, and the cushions, or the cushions will actually make the bed up in the centre here. What I'd advise you do is the humped part just here, I'd advise you spin that round to the outside so it's not underneath the base of your back. Then the two cushions from either side at the back, you drop into the centre. Bed here on the side, the table will drop down into position down the bottom here, so it will sit in the rails on the edge here that you see on each side of the seat, the other bed, and that will allow you to have a third bunk essentially down at the bottom here. The fold out bunk's a little bit harder to show in the video, but I'll show you that when you're here on site. The cooker itself, the electric ring at the back will only work on 240 mains due to the fact 12 volt won't power it. And then you've got your gas rings as you'd expect to see. You've got your hob, grill and oven, the same as your household. Igniter on the front again as you'd expect to see. The fridge itself, very easy to use. You've got power on. When you power on, he says. So as you can see, the power is now on and it's trying to self-ignite on gas at the moment. It will self-ignite when you select the gas mode, as long as the gas bottle is turned on. If it ever fails to ignite on gas, it will flash a red warning light on this side. And again, it will flash the green light here. When the green light's on solid as it is at the moment, that is your pilot light for the gas system. To change the mode, you hit the mode button on the right hand side. And at the moment we've gone to 12 volt. And that is the 12 volt supply from the car you are towing with, not the 12 volt battery on board the caravan. If it was connected to the car at the moment, the fridge would start working as a cool box, so the beers and wine are nice and cold when you arrive on site. If you hit the button again, twice, it'll go over to mains power, as you can see just here, so now the fridge is calling on mains 240 volt. To control the temperature of the fridge, you've got this button on the right hand side which you can tap to control the temperature. In the bathroom itself, you've got the toilet system, which has got an electric flush on top here, a full indicator light to let you know the waste cassette on the outside of the van is full, and you've got the waste handle here at the bottom, which you push across to allow the waste to go in the cassette in the bottom of the van. If you have any further questions on this particular caravan, please do give me a call here at the Caravan Company and I'd be more than happy to help. Thank you very much. Bye bye.